One small step for lesbians, one giant leap for lesbian kind. The lesbians have landed. Houston, we have a problem. These wigs. Oh yes, we finally have a lesbian sci-fi and every single other genre packed into one film. It has the range, darling. Multiverse of Madness. Out. Multiverse of Lesbian Chemistry. In. Lynn as an astronaut with respect and consent. Smash. Lynn in her casual boy photographer fit with respect and consent. Smash. Wartime Lynn fighting off Japanese invaders with respect and consent. Double smash. Grandma Lynn with double the respect and consent. Gently kiss on the forehead. Oh, I know what you thought. Kath traveling to multiple dimensions just to confess her love to Lynn again and again. A relatable queen. The ice cream scene may have made my homosexuality go triple platinum. The Spider-Man kiss may have made me so lesbian that the lesbianism transcended my body and manifested itself as my evil gay twin. Sapphic overground. This film was like Bury Your Gays on steroids. It's to balance out all of the other content where Freenbeck play lesbians who don't die. They are keeping the sacred balance. Also, despite all of the lesbian death, this film somehow still manages to have a romantic ending. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie. Thailand, they never do the lesbians wrong. The wigs, they were giving rich Asian lesbian aunties, but they were also giving Dan and Phil from 2009, and maybe Edna Mode from The Incredibles. I say all this to say I am really proud of Becky and Freen and how far they've come from the Gap the Series days. It's amazing to see how much they've grown as actors and see their careers launched into the stratosphere. I would say I feel like a proud mum, but I have a crush on Freen, so that would be weird. But it doesn't have to be. Hi guys, welcome to a video, and in today's video I'm just going to be reviewing the film Uranus 2324. If you're not familiar with Uranus 2324, it's a Thai sci-fi romance that follows Lynn, an astronaut, and Kath, a freediver, as they navigate different realities in search of each other, their connection resonating across time and space. Nice! Let's get into it. Okay, so honestly, this film was kind of a journey for me. At first I was like, this is really interesting. And then I was like, I'm not sure about this. And then I was like, holy smokes, this is cool as f. This movie is described as a sci-fi romance, but really, like I said earlier, it's actually several genres in one. There's elements of sci-fi and romance, but there's also elements of philosophy, action, thriller, and period drama. So it's quite an ambitious project, and whilst I don't think it exceeded my expectations, I wasn't disappointed by it either, and overall, I can say that for the most part, I enjoyed it. In terms of lesbian cinema or cinema centering lesbian romance, Uranus 2324 is groundbreaking. I can't think of any other lesbian films in the history of cinema that are even remotely like this. So the film is unique and exciting in that regard. And I have to give the creative team behind it props for fearlessly branching out and bringing something fresh to the table. Some might say they were reaching for the moon. I thought the overall production quality was pretty crisp. The cinematography offers a lot of thoughtful artistic shots, as well as showcasing Thailand's gorgeous scenery too. The editing was smooth for the most part, especially considering this film has non-linear elements, and I thought the transitions between the timelines were handled really well. I wasn't blown away by the space CGI, but I don't think it looked bad either. Even real space looks somewhat fake. So, I will say the set design and special/practical effects for the space and spaceship scenes did feel amateur in places. But considering the budget limitations and the type of film this is, it's understandable that they had to cut corners with certain things. I think for the most part, the writing in this film is decent, especially considering how ambitious this project is, and how complicated it can be to connect a non-linear narrative together. And in fact, I think it's fair to say that the writing writing is rather poetic in places. There's a lot of layers, themes, and parallels in this film. I mean, you have the larger parallel of deep space and the deep sea, and the recurring theme of love keeping two people connected no matter the distance, or depth and vastness of their respective environments. And there's also smaller metaphors and symbolism threaded in there too, such as the concept of the kaleidoscope and how it's an optical device that reflects images to create symmetrical pattern, which of course reflects the love story between Lynn and Kath being mirrored in each dimension or timeline, and how we're witnessing that. So there is a level of thoughtfulness in the script and in the overall artistry of this film. I mean, Kath is also dealing with grief as well as the loss and reconnection of this great love spanning across time, which provides a lot of human and touching moments in the film, not to mention some incredibly thoughtful dialogue between her and her father and her and Lynn. Where the writing falls short is in the spaceship scenes, where the dialogue was noticeably awkward and flat. And whilst I'm certainly not an expert in spacecraft or orbital mechanics, and I appreciate that this film isn't trying to be Interstellar, everything from the issues with the spaceship to the communication style with NASA felt unrealistic and understudied. I really felt like I was watching people act out their idea of being on a spaceship. And I mean, that is literally what's happening, but you're not supposed to feel that way when watching a film. The pacing also felt slightly sluggish in the spaceship scenes, and I felt like it could have been tightened up to convey the urgency or gravity, no pun intended, of the dangerous situation they were in. There was almost a lag between exchanges of dialogue and reactions in these scenes, which diminished the tension and again the urgency of their situation. It also didn't help that the acting and the interactions between the actors also felt very wooden. It was as though they were individually rehearsing lines from a script to themselves, as opposed to actually saying those lines organically in the moment to each other. Even Freen, who I know is a capable actor, struggled in these scenes. And this may have been due to lack of confidence with English not being her first language, but her lack of fluency wasn't the issue. The issue was, and this applies to the other two actors who were on the spaceship too, the poor delivery of the lines and the acting which fell completely flat. And there's not really an excuse for that. That's very much on the actors and the director. The aspect of the film I was most impressed with was the 1940s timeline, where Kath apparently turns into Xena and beats down on a bunch of Japanese invaders. Nature is healing. Everything from the pacing to the cinematography to the fight sequences all looked professional and smooth in these scenes. The costumes and hair were both on point and historically interesting, and I feel like the acting and casting choices for this timeline were the strongest out of the entire film too. So Takai very effectively embodied the role of a ruthless Japanese soldier, and I felt that both Becky and Freen not only mastered the physical aspects of their roles, but they managed to convey a particularly deep intensity through their emotional acting in these scenes too, which was engaging to watch. Especially in the makeup scene where the yearning and chemistry was noticeably palpable. Japan's invasion of Thailand during the war is also an important part of Thai history, and it's interesting and thought-provoking to see that reimagined on screen. It's funny because I was most looking forward to the sci-fi aspects of this film, but the action and period aspects were actually what I ended up enjoying the most. The romance aspect between Kath and Lynn was incredibly moving. The core of this film is about their connection withstanding distance, grief, and time. I mean, this is Xena and Gabrielle levels of romance. It's as romantic as it gets. And the film provides a lot of cute visuals, moments of yearning, and both grand and subtle romantic gestures between the two. Not to mention the kisses. Oh yes, they didn't just bake us a whole cake, they gave us the entire bakery. In other words, we were eating good. I have spoken about Freenbeck's kisses so many times on this channel. We all know that their chemistry and intimacy is god tier, and it's no different in this film. I love it here, but I have nothing new to say. On a more serious note, I felt like the film did a good job of balancing out their romantic scenes with the wider narrative. Their intimacy didn't just feel like fan service or thrown in there for the sake of it, but at the same time, their romance wasn't diminished or overshadowed by other aspects of the film either. Becky really stood out to me in this film acting wise. Not only was Kath dealing with these incredibly raw and deep feelings of grief and yearning, she was also thrown into situations where she had to free dive and kick ass. And it was impressive how Becky was able to deliver such an emotional and physical range and embody each character role and moment so completely. Freen also delivered with her performances for the most part. I mean, it's really just the spaceship scenes in which she struggled. But like Kath, Lynn also deals with grief and yearning and is thrown into various high pressure situations. Their acting styles really complement each other, and for the most part, both of them fully embodied their roles and brought their A game. I also loved hearing Becky speak English because I always watch her in Thai girls love dramas, so I'm used to hearing her speak Thai. Her speaking English is a rare shiny Pokemon card to me. And Freen's English accent also sounded super cute. I wasn't expecting her to sound that cute. My bilingual queens. Overall, as a piece of cinema that centers a lesbian romance, I think Uranus 2324 is a really unique and exciting piece of work. I think taking away the Freenbeck fangirl glasses and the representation aspect, and looking at the production from a more objective standpoint, I think the film is just okay. I don't think that they had the budget or that they took the time to put in the extra care and research that was needed for a project this ambitious to reach its full potential. That said, with the exception of the spaceship scenes, this film is in no way bad, and I think that there are more positive aspects to it than there are negative ones. Like, I've seen a lot of polarized reviews of this film with people either kind of trashing it, which I feel like is unnecessary. The film really is not that bad, or fans being kind of overly positive and overhyping it simply because of Freenbeck, which doesn't leave much room for honest or balanced reviews. So yes, personally I enjoyed it, but objectively speaking, the film is just okay. Not the best, but not the worst. Okay guys, if you've seen Uranus 2324, why did they have to name it after that planet? Of all the planets, why that one? Let me know what you thought of it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!